The South Park franchise, like many others, has struggled over the years in finding a way to faithfully adapt itself into an interactive format. With the utterly garbage South Park for the N64, followed by the equally awful South Park Rally, to the more recent Tenderman's Revenge and the good but not great Let's Go Tower Defense play, it's safe to say that South Park has had a shaky video game history at best. But now, fed up with the lackluster quality of all their previous efforts, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the show's creators, have teamed up with renowned RPG developer Obsidian Entertainment to create a game that I can gladly say does the South Park name justice.
Deep in the lands of Zaron, the humans of Koopa Keep struggle to stay alive as they are attacked by the wicked drow elves of Larnia. Darkness falls as the humans beg their king to save them, a noble king known only as the Grand Wizard. For 1,000 years, the battle has been waged, with only the bravery of the Grand Wizard to protect his human followers. But even though the Wizard King is so undeniably cool, the Drow Elf armies continue their attacks. They seek the humans' most treasured relic, the Stick of Truth. But the tides of war are soon to change, as news of a new kid spreads throughout the land. In order to save the humans, the Grand Wizard must get to the new kid before the Drow Elves can manipulate his mind and use him to take the sacred relic from human hands. For whomever controls the stick, controls the universe.
In Stick of Truth, instead of controlling Cartman and the gang, you instead play as the new kid in town who's moved to South Park with his parents after some mysterious event has left him unable to speak. After saving Butters from a gang of nasty Jew elves, you're taken to meet Cartman and are quickly roped into the kids' make-believe war for control of the all-powerful Stick of Truth that's taking place across the town. You're able to fully customize the new kid's appearance, and once you've joined Cartman's side in the war against the Jew elves, you're able to pick one of 4 character classes: Fighter, Mage, Thief, and Jew, which ends up being the game's Paladin or Monk analog. Unfortunately, the game only allows for the creation of male characters, although for what it's worth, the lack of gender customization options is justified by the game's story. Unsurprisingly, considering Obsidian's development history, the game is designed in the style of an RPG. What was unusual, however, is that unlike the D&D fare that Obsidian usually develops, Stick of Truth was designed to play like a Japanese role-playing game, specifically Paper Mario. From the player's movement around the world to the 2-man party system to the active turn-based combat, this game is Paper Mario through and through. This isn't a knock on the game by any means, however. Paper Mario is great, and Stick of Truth manages to recreate the style perfectly, even throwing in some welcome additions as well. One of these additions is environmental abilities. Let's be honest, RPGs are great, but sometimes constant battles can make a game a bit tedious. Stick of Truth's dungeons, which can range anywhere from the elementary school to a giant UFO, are full of small little spots where your hero can use his various tools, from his own ranged equipment to your various fart magics, to interact with the environment. These interactions can often yield treasure, open new paths, or even allow the player to avoid battles, while still earning the same amount of experience points one would gain from a regular fight. Although, this actually leads to one of my bigger problems with the game. Experience points don't really seem to matter much. Sure, it allows you to dump points into your tech trees, but I feel like the progression of power from each level of a certain tree wasn't really significant enough. Combine that with the scaling difficulty of the game's enemies, and I never really felt like I was getting any stronger. Then there's the difficulty. Even at its hardest, the game is still pretty easy. I was able to drop the game's super hard, endgame, secret boss in no more than a few turns. But maybe that was just me expecting a different ratio of South Park to Obsidian-ness than what the game's final product actually was. If you're coming to this game as an Obsidian fan first, perhaps look elsewhere. It's obvious that this game's main goal is a vehicle for South Park humor and fan service, with Obsidian's RPG mechanics taking the back seat. With that being said, however, Stick of Truth is an excellent piece of South Park fan service, with numerous references to pop culture, video games, and the main show itself, whose gameplay is competent, if just a little bit lacking. Overall, I'd give South Park: The Stick of Truth a solid 8 out of 10.